And welcome to episode 75 of New Hampshire Knits, a knitting podcast coming to you from the gorgeous state of New Hampshire, where our state motto is knit free or die. Today is Friday, March 16th, and I'm your host, Claire. This episode is proudly sponsored by thewoollythistle.com. The Woolly Thistle brings the best of British and Scandinavian yarns to us here in the United States and Canada. The Woolly Thistle welcomed several new yarns into the shop, including Blacker Yarns Jacob in 4-ply and DK, Black Elephant hand-dyed yarns, Uist wool from the Outer Hebrides, and the brand new Florist collection from West Yorkshire Spinners. And there's more new yarns coming, so be sure to follow the Woolly Thistle on Instagram and visit the shop often at www.thewoollythistle.com. 2 L's in Woolly. Let the Woolly Thistle do the international shipping so you don't have to. Well, hello there, listeners, and thank you for coming back if you're a returning listener, and welcome if you are a new listener. I hope you enjoy the show. I'm recording this episode ahead of time. This episode is coming to you on Friday, March 16th, but I'm actually recording it right before I leave for Edinburgh. So I'm finding life a little hectic right now, and we actually have a snow day and we have tons of snow. So the kids are home and I'm trying to squeak in a quick recording for you before I head off to Scotland for Edinburgh Yarn Festival, which I'm getting excited about. I was looking over the vendor list this morning and highlighting lots and lots of vendors, if not all of them, to go visit them and see their wares and potentially talk to them about working with the Woolly Thistle. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Sarah from Fibre Trek and I are going together, and we have signed up for a lot of the things on offer. We'll be seeing Kate Davies at her book talk. She has a brand new book coming out, and I think it's more about her than a knitting book. So I'm excited to check that out and go see her read a little excerpt from it. And we're also going to the Ceilidh, and we're going to meet the shepherd on the Sunday, and oh my goodness, it's just going to be a whirlwind. So I think when I get on the plane, I'll be ready. Until then, I'm going to be like a headless chicken flapping around, but we're getting there. Let's get started, shall we? This episode includes On the Needles, Off the Needles, New Hampshire Knits Mitten Cal, the Woolly Thistle Shibui Shawl Cal, our own Edinburgh Yarn Festival right here at the Woolly Thistle. Then we'll wrap it up and I'll give you your Moment of Hen. Off the needles, same as last time. Nothing new off the needles. Everything's getting closer to being there, but I'm actually starting to freak out about my knitting because my Ciri Cardigan by Lene Oman just needs a button band put on and the neckband and a blocking and buttons. So I'm considering that almost done, but I haven't touched it since I picked up the sweater surgery project, which is the Lovage sweater by Marie Wallen. And I picked that up, I think right before my podcast went out last time. So I've been working on it for almost 3 weeks, and that's pretty much all I've been working on. I basically have decided that it needed this because I wasn't wearing it at all. And it's a lovely sweater, very big colorwork yoke that goes down the arms, the top half of your arms. And mine was huge above the shoulders. So there was an awful lot of extra fabric around my chest and back. And then where the sleeves joined, it was halfway down my waist almost, it felt like. And so if ever I lifted my arms up, the whole sweater would rise up and I'd have all this huge excess above my shoulders. So I wasn't wearing it. The other thing too about this was that I really wasn't happy with my color choices. I was going for a more muted color choice, and I didn't do that. I went for quite bright colors, and it felt a bit clownish, honestly. At least I didn't feel like I could pull it off. I'm sure other people could pull off that much color, but I wasn't wearing it. And I decided that, sure, I've got a month to go before Edinburgh. I can change this up. So I did. I started about 3 weeks ago, and let's see, what did I do? First of all, I decided that I could keep the neckband and the first maybe 3 different colorwork charts. So that brought me down to mid-yoke level, between my shoulders and my neck. I cut that and I picked up the stitches and I started to knit down. Originally I knitted this sweater up, but now I was knitting down and I could try on the yoke as I went. And I went down a needle size because, first of all, my gauge was big. So I went down a needle size, and I also did some extra decreasing where I could, and went down a whole size in the pattern as well. And so I knitted like that, down and down. And then I also wanted to raise the place where I would separate for the sleeves. In the original pattern, you do that after one color chart and before the next. But the way I wanted to do it, I was going to have to do it during quite a large color work chart. And that's fine. I had to, but then I realized that the bottom half of my sweater was still at the larger size, and I had gone down a size in stitch count. So I had to start putting increases in the color chart as well to get it so that it would match the bottom. And actually I found a way to do that didn't disrupt the pattern, so I felt very clever. And then I did put stitches on waste yarn for the sleeves and continued to knit the body down. I was hoping I would get away without having to do the very bottom big colorwork band on the body, but because I changed the colors up so much up top, it really didn't go anymore, so I had to take that on, and that really took quite a long time. It's a big chart and lots of repeats in there, so it took me quite a long time, but that's done now. And I've picked up the stitches for the sleeves, and I've just started the first sleeve last night. I stayed up way too late last night knitting on that and feel like I only got an inch of knitting done. Ugh. And I've still got to do the other sleeve too. And my hope is that once the color work is done, I can knit down a little bit in just plain stockinette, because the sweater will now be shorter because of the smaller gauge. So I need to add a little bit of length, and then my hope is that I can seamlessly graft Kitchener the whole sweater back together again, sleeves and body. I think I can get all that knitting done, and I hope that while you're listening to this, I'm actually wearing my lovage. My big worry right now is that it's probably not going to be blocked properly. I'm going to be in a crumpled colorwork mess. I hope not. I'm hoping that maybe I could steam press it just to get away with it, so that I'm not bringing over a damp sweater in my luggage. I don't need this stress. Why did I do this? Why did I do this? I have no idea, because my Ciri cardigan is the cardigan I was knitting for Edinburgh Yarn Festival. So now I'm hoping that I will have 2 days worth of sweaters for 2 days worth of festival going. Oh, I really hope I make it. I'm biting my nails and staying up too late. And of course, staying up late is not a good thing. I need my sleep. But I'm going to get this done, and hopefully all's well that ends well. I've really enjoyed messing around with the pattern though. I don't think I would have been brave enough to try this not too long ago. But I guess, the more knitting you do, the more you understand what you're doing and how it's going to work. I wish I had that insight when I was knitting the thing too big. That would have been good. So I can't say enough. Take the time to put your knitting on another needle or on waste yarn and try it on. I didn't try the sweater on originally until really I was in the finishing. I could see the finishing line, and I just kept going. this thing was enormous. And I know it's supposed to have lots of ease, but it was enormous. And I'm not a tiny person, so it just made me look like a big giant balloon. And I'm not having that. So hopefully with the changes in the color work to make it a little more quiet, but still colorful, but more quiet colors. And with the fit, I'm so happy with the fit. It is so much better. It's much, much better. So I'm really happy that I did this, and I will wear this thing to death if I ever finish it. So I'm pretty excited about that. Also on the needles, I cast on my mittens for the New Hampshire Knits Mitten Cal. I'm not knitting along though. Every moment I have free to knit, I am knitting on lovage right now, but I plan to bring my mitten knitting with me and hopefully get some done on the plane, or, you know, when I have some downtime in Edinburgh. Who am I kidding? But that's my plan. I cannot give it any time right now with this deadline knitting. I also realized that I would make a terrible professional knitter. I don't like knitting to a deadline at all. So yes, I've got the Ciri on the needles. I've got my lovage on the needles. We cast on my mittens. Okay, so let's talk about the mittens that I'm going to knit though. I want to get 2 pairs of mittens knit. We'll see. You know, fantasy knitting is coming next. But I did cast on Kristen Drysdale's Christian Datter mittens. And Kristen Drysdale is at Scandiwork on Ravelry and Instagram. She designed this pattern especially for the mitten knit along, which is just really generous of her, and they're lovely. They're in a DK weight, and I'm using Ovis Etc's BFL Masham blend, which is a single ply DK weight, and it's super soft, and I'm sure it's going to be nice and warm. So I am looking forward to knitting on that. I love Kristen's patterns. I've knit a couple of her slipper patterns now, and they're very clear. She has lovely stories about, you know, the history of the mitten, or, you know, how it came into be designed by her. So I am looking forward to getting stuck into that. My other big hope was to cast on the Shibui shawl, which is in Len 4 by Melody Hoffman, and it uses US 7 needles, and you need 6 shades of Plotolopi. That was another, you know, brilliant idea I had of making Plotolopi kits for the Shibui shawl. It was a great idea, but it was hugely time intensive, hand winding balls of Plotolopi when I have deadline knitting and a shop to run and Edinburgh coming. What was I thinking? So I did get quite a few kits put together in that form, but then I decided that I really couldn't hack that anymore and I needed to just sell the plates of yarn. So I gave a discount on that. They all got gobbled up, and I hope you're enjoying them and knitting up the Shibui shawl. There is a hashtag on Instagram, which is hashtag TWT Shibui shawl, and it's just a very informal Instacal where you can post progress pictures of your Shibui shawl. And I do have more Plotolopi coming, so I will put those up in the shop when they get here. Jay's Ridari, 2 sleeves have been knit, and that has been set aside. That's not seeing any action whatsoever, and he'll probably get that in August at this point. Bless. So yeah, that's what's on the needles right now. Fantasy knitting, I mentioned last time, and I'm still fantasizing about knitting Magnolia by Camilla Vad, which is in the new Len 4. My plan for this is to use the new Blacker Jacob yarn in 4-ply, and I want to also use a strand of Rowan's Kid Silk Haze, which I have a very small selection of in the shop. And I'm going to swatch for that while I'm in Edinburgh, hopefully, because I really want to knit that sweater. It's very pretty. And the other thing I'm fantasy knitting for now is Silver Forest by Jen Steingass. Every time she releases a pattern, I go off in Fantasyland. This is one of her newest patterns, and it's the grey one with the grey pine tree, and I think it's like a big snowflake, perhaps. And it's all in greys and cream. And I keep thinking that that would look really, really nice in Jamieson and Smith's Supreme, which is all natural colored yarn. There's 9 shades, and it's slightly thicker than Jamieson's 2-ply. And it's just a lovely yarn. In fact, the body of my lovage is in that yarn, and I really like knitting with it, and I like how it looks knitted up. So yeah, I'm fantasy knitting that in Jen's Silver Forest, and I really would like to get those two on the needles, but I need to clear off what's on the needles because I haven't even mentioned the Tidal Yarns sweater that is sitting in my car. So I've got 4 sweaters on the go right now. That's ridiculous. That's a little much, but that's life. That's me. Yeah, so that's what's on and off the needles, what I'm fantasy knitting. And New Hampshire Knits Mitten Cal is going great guns over on the Ravelry group. Thank you, everyone who's knitting along. It's so much fun to see your works in progress. There's finished objects now. And we had a lovely cast-on prize from Patricia P4 Chen of her lovely mitten blockers. And that winner was announced. And I think by now Patricia will have gotten those blockers out to her. There's also been a prize of a Woolly Thistle gift certificate. A $25 gift certificate was given out in the chatter thread, and there's probably going to be something between the time I'm recording and the time this is released. The chatter is phenomenal. I pop in, and what I notice is that people are helping each other. And that is just so good. That is really fantastic. And I really appreciate the effort all of you are making to chime in and help each other get your mittens done in a way that is friendly and helpful. So I am giving prizes for chatter. I'm calling myself the prize fairy, and I'm sprinkling little prizes here and there throughout that thread. So keep it up. Keep it up. That goes on until tax day. So we got loads of time. If you haven't started yet, a bit like me, that's fine. Jump on and in whenever you're ready. Just join the chatter. Tell us who you are, what you're knitting it with. Yeah, so lots more news to come on that, but just keep on knitting, and thank you so much for participating. So the Shibui shawl, Cal, on Instagram, I said it was informal. It's extremely informal because I haven't cast on yet, despite my best hopes. But that is a very informal Instagram cal going for the month of March. And if you are knitting the Shibui shawl, use hashtag TWT Shibui shawl. And I'll do a little potluck prize somewhere in there. And there's no need to finish it by March 31st. Just show us that you're knitting on it and let us know what you think of the Plotolopi. I'm a huge fan of Plotolopi. It's such an unusual yarn, and it's a very rustic Icelandic yarn, which is super soft when it's finished. Some of you might find it scratchy, and I understand that. I personally wear it next to skin. I find it very light and very warm, and I could live in it. So I will be casting on another Plotolopi garment one of these days, probably a Jen Stein guest, as I've talked about before. But I thought the Shibui shawl was an excellent shawl, or an excellent project for folks who've never knit with Plotolopi before. So show us your work on Instagram. All right, let's move on. My very own Edinburgh Yarn Festival is happening for the month of March right here at the Woolly Thistle. Last year I had a commiseration sale because I wasn't there, and lots of you joined me in the sale buying your British yarn from the Woolly Thistle to commiserate that we weren't there. And so I want to do something similar this month, and to that end I've been launching lots of new yarns, and there's more to come, but I will be doing a sale. I've decided it's on Saturday, March 17th. The times to be announced, but you will be able to go to the Woolly Thistle and peruse the sale. And hopefully you'll find something there that you would have bought at Edinburgh if you were there. Or even if you are there. No, if you're at Edinburgh, you better shop in Edinburgh. But if you're not in Edinburgh, then go to the Woolly Thistle and I'll do the international shipping bit for you. But I would like to share the fun and excitement for British wool with you, and I'll be doing a sale on the Saturday, and hopefully because I'll be doing it remotely, all will go well. I'm still haunted by the screaming sale back in November. But hey ho, hopefully that all goes to plan, but if it doesn't, oh well. Okay, so what did I launch in March? We had Uist Wool. That is a personal highlight for me. I'm very excited to have used wool in the shop. I have a small selection, and it's all DK in 4 different bases, or 4 different breeds really. The tier is a black Welsh mountain, dark chocolatey brown, and it's lovely. It's probably the softest of the yarns I have, which is interesting, isn't it? You wouldn't have thought so. And I actually had bought some of that for myself when I was in Scotland and I visited used wool. So there's that. There's not much of that left. There is Isan, which is a lovely buttery, creamy oatmeal colour. And that's an Icelandic and very nice too. Then there's, and I'm not going to pronounce this right, Brisgeen. I don't speak Gaelic. But that is a lovely steely grey colour. And that is a Cheviot blend of, I'll need to check that, but it's got Cheviot in it. And of course there's Sith. And I actually bought a sweater quantity of Sith in Scotland. So I do want to knit a sweater in that soon. Oh geez, there's so much to knit. Isn't it fun? Half the fun is planning these things and fantasy knitting too. Anyway, so Sith is it's a slightly lighter grey than the Brisgeen. So that launched at used wool, and thank you to those of you who already bought some. There is some left, so if you have any interest in that, go ahead and make a purchase during the EYF Woolly Thistle sale. Blacker's newest yarn, and it's a beauty, is Jacob, and that of course is the ancient Jacob breed that's been around for thousands of years, and it's a very interesting sheep in that its fleece has distinct spotted markings. So you might have a spot of black and a spot of white and a spot of brown. The first fleece I ever bought myself was at New England Fiber Festival down at the Big E in Massachusetts. And it was a Jacob. And I have washed that thing and I have started preparing it a couple of years ago. But anyway, it was a fun fleece to prepare because you can just take that big black chunk and set it here, and the big brown chunk and set it here, and the big cream chunk and set it there. And then you can play with marling, you can apply 2 colors together or whatever. And I think Blacker has played around with that and carefully selected the different shades in their fleeces that they sorted by hand and have come up with marled natural shades. And then on top of that, they've gone with dark blue, a green, which is really a sort of minty tealy color, and a purple. And those 3 colors are over dyed on the 4 natural colors that the yarn comes in. So you can buy Jacob in 4-ply, and that has the natural colors, the dark blue and the pale green colors. And then in DK you can get the natural colors and the purples. So that's all available in the shop if there's still some left. It actually is going live on March 9th, same as Blacker. They have a launch date of March 9th. So by the time you hear this, that will have passed, but hopefully there's still stock in the shop if you are interested in it. Black Elephant has come to the Woolly Thistle. Petra of Black Elephant is a hand dyer located in Sheffield in northern England. It's in South Yorkshire actually, and she does beautiful work. I loved her Instagram feed and contacted her some time ago, and she was very agreeable to working with me. So Petra's yarn is spun in Peru, which a lot of superwash merino yarns are, of course. And then she dyes it up in her dye studio in Sheffield. So we do have a British connection in that Petra of Black Elephant is in Britain, but it's really a South American yarn that is spun in Peru, and I'm being completely transparent and will always be that way, so that you know exactly where your yarn is coming from. I'm very happy that I have this in the shop, and let's see how it does, and let's see if you like it. She does a beautiful dye job on it, and I'm really hoping that you guys embrace it, and we'll see. Also recently in the shop is the Florist collection from West Yorkshire Spinners. This is their brand new floral collection of about 6 or 7 modeled patterned shades and then contrasting solids. And this has been doing very well since it launched. The names of the colorways like hydrangea, sweet pea, honeysuckle, very evocative of an English country garden in spring and summer. So they really are lovely, soft shades that work well together and have these lovely names that to me make me think of spring, and maybe a little bit of Miss Marple sitting out in her front yard knitting or crocheting with her lovely honeysuckle draped over her front door of her little English country cottage, and of course rambling roses. Oh, yes. Yes, I need to watch some Miss Marple and get finishing my lovage. That's what I need to do tonight. Except tonight when I'm recording, not at Edinburgh, because I'm wearing it. I'm wearing it by now. I keep telling myself that. I hope you're keeping up with me. I'm all over the place. Anyway, so those are some of the new yarns that I've launched in the month of March, and I have more coming, but that will be after Edinburgh. Oh, and a quick note about that. While I'm in Edinburgh, the shop will be open to take your orders, and obviously there will be a sale running on the Saturday, but your orders will not get shipped out until I return, and the earliest I will be shipping out orders will be March 21st. I hope you understand that I need to be here to do that. The shop is very busy now that my poor hubby actually has his own job to do first, and it's not fair to expect him to do it and do it right. Very important. So that is what's going on with the Woolly Thistle's very own Edinburgh Yarn Festival while I'm in Edinburgh, and I can't wait to have all the adventures and report back to you in a couple of weeks with another episode where I will tell you everything that happened and who I talked to and who I got to meet and all the different yarns I got to sniff and what I bought and hanging out with Sarah and adventures in the city. I hope the weather's better. You know, when I went to Edinburgh 2 years ago for the Edinburgh Yarn Festival, they were so much further ahead in spring in March than we were here. Like, you know, we're having huge amount of snow right now. The kids are off school because of it. And when I got over there, it was dry and a little bit warm that you could walk around without your jacket on even in March. And it just felt so refreshing to get a break from our long winter. But you know that they've been having all that weather caused by the beast from the east. So who knows what the weather's going to be in Scotland when I get there. But it will be an adventure anyway. I need to check and see how to pack. I don't know whether to bring lots of boots or jackets or all my knitwear. That, of course, I'm bringing all my knitwear. First thing that's packed, isn't it? So yes, a quick update about the shop. I think I've told you lots about the shop that's happening right now. But to let you know what's in the pipeline and coming very soon is Einrum, which is a new Icelandic yarn from the people at Einrum. And this is a fingering weight Icelandic yarn that is spun with a thread of silk. And it's really light and airy. It'll be very warm, and the silk gives it this really nice drape. And I've been talking to these guys for quite a long time, and I love their Instagram feed. I love their aesthetic. And so I have gotten that here, but I'm not able to get it in the shop before I go to Edinburgh. So that's coming in the shop soon. And also coming back by popular demand is Faith Mead from Wales. And this time Mandy has been able to offer me lots of different breed-specific yarn, from her Corriedale to some lamb's wool, Leicester long wool, and I think there's some BFL in there. So I'm very excited to get into that. I have been in it, believe me, but I need to get into it to photograph it, describe it, and get it up on the shop. But that's coming, and I'm actually even thinking for that, because she's given me lots of different things, I've thought about maybe putting together a little selection bag where you could get a skein of this, that, and the next. So I might do that. More to come. And also Erika Knight, her products are coming, and I know that I told you about them in the last episode. Erika Knight's BFL. Now listen to this. This is worth noting. My daughter, who is 12, for Christmas, on her letter to Santa Claus that she still does, and I put this on Instagram, she requested knitted sweaters that are made in the shop. In other words, she didn't want a hand-knitted sweater. I was so flabbergasted. She's not knit-worthy. She is not knit-worthy. However, I was showing her the BFL from Erika Knight. It's a DK weight. I said, close your eyes and feel this. And her eyes shut open. She's like, oh, that's lovely. So it's soft. It's soft enough for Miss Heather. So this is the softest BFL I have felt, and it comes in lots of different colors. So that will be going in the shop soon too, along with her cotton, little tiny cotton balls of 25 grams. I'm going to make baby kits for that, baby knitting kits. It's all coming. I just need to get it done. It's busy, busy, busy. The other exciting thing that is coming to the Woolly Thistle is Susan Crawford's Vintage Shetland book. I'm so excited for this book. It weighs in at almost £5 though, so it is a tome. It is heavy. You can hold your door open with it. And that means it's going to be very costly shipping, and also it's going to be a costly purchase. However, I think there's enough of us out here that will value all the hard work that went into this book and the Shetland knitting history that'll be there, as well as the vintage take and the beautiful patterns that have been made modern from samples from Shetland. And Susan Crawford is a very nice woman who is doing really good work, and I really admire her. So I'm very happy that I will be getting Vintage Shetland here. It will be a costly book to purchase, and I may have pre-orders up by the time you hear this, so check in with the shop. I floated the idea of pre-orders in Instagram, and lots of you did respond that you would like that, but of course I don't want anyone to have sticker shock. It will be an expensive purchase, but it will be well worth it, and something that I think you'll really enjoy and be able to hand on to the kids as an heirloom book. That's my hope anyway. But what else is coming? Well, we have plenty of Shetland by Marie Wallen. I got more Jameson and Smith Shetland story in. Lan 3 and 4 are in good supply right now, so you should be able to get those if you want them. Lots of you are buying 3 and 4 together, which is a good idea. Save on shipping. So I think that's all the news I have for you. I hope that you are well and that you've enjoyed listening to my quick blather. And I'm going to leave you now with your Moment of Hen. I hope you enjoy that. And just remember, if you go out, take your knitting. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to New Hampshire Knits. You can find the Ravelry group at NH Knits. You can find me on Ravelry as NHK Claire, on Instagram NH_knits, and you can email me at nhknits001@gmail.com. And you can find the Woolly Thistle all over the internet at the Woolly Thistle with 2 L's in Woolly.